welcome back to part three of how to sell with integrity. If you watched my other video, I posted part one and part two. Part one, I pretty much talked about the old style of selling, which tends to be a little bit more pushy and manipulative in nature. And then part two, yesterday, I talked about more about the modern style of selling, essentially, and this is basically heavily reliant on content and relationship building. So it's kind of like social selling principles. However, the way that you handle the sales conversation and everything else is different. And today I'm going to show you exactly how I kind of go through my whole sales process. If you do have any questions or anything, please let me know in the comments. And like I said at the very beginning, I'm just sharing something that I'm currently actively discovering in real time. If you do have any suggestions of how to improve this, of course, let me know. Happy to revisit this. But like I said, this is what I currently see that's working in my business. Feel free to try it for yourself, and I'd love to hear how it works for you. Before I show you how to do this, I will bring awareness again, a reminder that in order for this strategy to work, you have to focus on building relationships and on posting content. If you don't do that, then this process might not be as effective. So the first step in the conversation, because really quick, let me just refresh you here. Because the way that I do the whole sales process, one of the steps that I add into my sales process, and I think there's an image here. So one of the steps that I add into my sales process is I actually do a virtual event right here, right? So I post a lot of content and then I send them to a virtual event right over here. And that virtual event really just brings either builds a rapport, builds a trust, or gets them to actually be curious about how they can work with us to, on a higher level. So with that being said, when we get on a call, if we ever get on a call, which uh, it's not often, just the way that we have our sales process set up. A lot of our sales are generated through our virtual events, and then some of them will come in through email, some of them will come in through DM, and uh, some of them will be through Loom videos back and forth, and occasionally we'll have some sales calls. So just for the purpose of this, in the last few weeks, I have been booking more sales calls just to really hone in on this on this strategy precisely. So the first step at this scenario, using the strategy I just showed you, where we're posting content, we're doing virtual events, we're building relationships. When we get on a call, we know each other, right? So there's no, hey, do you know me? Do I know you? Right? No. At this stage, you know me. You know how I work. You know about me. You know about my content. There's more rapport and trust and likability built through because of all my initial stages of content building, relationship, DMs, all of that. So step number two is just a very simple question. Now I just need to figure out, what do you do and what do you want me to do, or what do you need help doing? And a lot of times you can get a basic scenario of what the person needs help with through like an application process. But the thing here is that I actually listen, and I think this is the number one key for this to work as well. You actually have to listen, because a lot of times when you get on a sales call, we're all preoccupied on, when do I pitch, when do I pitch, when do I pitch, or what's my script? I gotta follow my script. Oh, okay, that's great. They're saying a lot of words. Oh, look, they nailed it. That's exactly what I need to hear for my script. And we forget that it's a conversation. We're humans. We're here to converse. And if the conversation makes sense, we will work together. So you have to listen in order to participate in the conversation, for the other person to also see that you understand them and you're listening. And that's probably also one of the biggest compliments you could give to someone, if you listen to them. And then in this stage, I'm not doing anything different yet. I'm just asking discovery questions because I need to know. So I put on my detective hat on, and now I start asking all these questions. But I'm not doing any like mindset Jedi tricks. I'm not doing any like, what's your big hopes and what are your big dreams or anything like that. I'm just being very tactical. What is it that you're actually struggling with? What is the actual, I need to understand what business model you have for my offer, right? You guys might have other discovery questions, but for my offer, I need to understand, what business are you running? How are you generating leads? What happens when you generate those leads? How are you converting? How is your sales mechanism? I have to know all these things, right? So I ask those questions. Again, this is not a script, this is a state, it's flow, right? So I'm just really just curious at how they're operating right now. And then I introduce an idea based on like what I offer and what they sell, or what they said. So for example, at this stage, if they're like, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to go from 20K to, I don't know, 50K, and then now I will say, oh, well, that's a 30K gap, right? And I will actually show them that. I'm like, that's a 30K gap. Um well, there's two ways to do this. You can either increase your price or increase your number of leads or the number of sales that you generate. Which one feels more in alignment, right? And then they're gonna be like, oh, uh, yeah, let's generate more leads or whatever. And I'm like, all right, great. Well, have you thought about doing a virtual event? And they're like, no, I haven't thought about it. What is that? What is that about? Blah blah. So now this is where it becomes a collaboration. The call becomes a collaboration call. I share my screen just like this on Canva, and I start doodling. And I go, look, you're here. You want to get to here. That's a 30K gap. How can we do this? What's your audience size? Okay, let's say you have like whatever 1,000 emails. Okay, great. Well, if we do a virtual event, the virtual event's going to be like $47. If we capture like 1% of that, it's going to be X amount of dollars, blah, blah, blah. And then if we do, then we position your offer on the back end. How much is your offer? Oh, it's 10K. Okay, great. So even let's say that we get, what's 1%? Like 10 people, if I'm doing the math right. So let's say 10 people join. So that's $470. And then, if two of those people join, two of those people convert into your high ticket offer, that's going to be 20K plus 10K each, plus the $500 essentially in the front end. So that's going to generate an extra 20.5K, right? Does that make sense? It's very math and it's very rational and it's very logistically driven. And I just show them how exactly it would work. And I show them how the numbers would work. I show them, how we can actually bridge the gap. And then at every stage, they're like, oh, well, how do we actually attract, 30 people or 100 people or whatever? And then at that stage, I just show them step by step. I'm like, look, when you do a virtual event, you're going to need an offer, right? So we can attract the most people. You're going to need content, right? So you can actually attract the people through content. Your content can do all the selling. You're going to need, if you don't have an audience, you're going to need affiliates. So we're going to figure out what those look like. And then you're going to need funnels and systems and automation to actually collect the cash and nurture the people and get them to show up, and AI agents to increase show up rate, right? So here's exactly what you need, and this is exactly how you can do it. And in each step, I ask them if it makes sense, right? So I'm like, you need content. Do you understand that? Yes. Okay, well, do you understand that these are the types of content you could post, like a case study, this, that, that? Yes. Okay, great. So if we post more of this content, and let's say you have 1,000 followers and you get 1,000 impressions, or you get like 100 impressions, and blah blah blah. Do you see how it's all math? Like, do you see how we just need to increase now the number of eyeballs that see your content so you can generate these sales? Like, yeah. So it's a very logical explanation. It's like a growth plan. It's 100% very rational. And then I ask at every step of the way, I ask, do you have questions, right? Does this make sense? And I make sure that they're following me and I'm not having a conversation with myself. And then at this stage, I have delivered so much value and I have shown them exactly how it's done that they now ask me, so how can you help me do this? Right? And then that's when I would then transition and like, okay, here's how we work. We do X, Y, and Z. Does that make sense? Yes. Do you have any questions? No. Okay, great. So now the only thing we have to talk about really is just investments, right? So the investment option to work with us is $5,000 paid in full, or you can break it down into two payments if that's easier, right? And then people will make their decision. Now the thing is, because we have delivered so much value and it's a very logical, like, it's in your face, like how clear the solution is, we will still get objections, right? But it's my goal was just to bring clarity and awareness that, hey, your problem is really not that far fetched. We just need to do some tweaks. Now everyone's gonna have different offers. It's gonna differ person by person. That's why I said feel free to try this and improve on this, or modify it for your particular business. But that's just what I've discovered for mine. Now when I get objections, typical stuff. Oh, I need to think about it. And at this stage, 100% truthful, like, I don't want to work with anybody and everybody under the sun. I have made that mistake in the past, and I think that the number one thing that I know and I'm aware of is that I want to work with the best clients. Right? Before I can even answer this objection, I'm just sharing with you background. I want to work with the best clients. In the past, when we have uh, implemented, like scarcity or urgency into our marketing and stuff like that, we attract these types of people. And these types of people, even though, grateful to have met a lot of them and all of that, the thing is that a lot of them, they're buying based off the hype or the emotion or whatever, and they're not going to do the work. Even though, like, they're amazing people and stuff like that, it just becomes a little bit of an extra step that now you have to also be a babysitter. So what I want to do is I want to attract people that are committed, right? I want to actually attract people that are willing to do the work. And these are the people that are also understand how it's going to work, so they're going to buy based off of trust and off of logic versus buying based off of hopes and dreams. And that's one of the biggest shifts that I've made. Like I said, for anyone watching this video, just to make sure that I'm very clear, yes, this is the type of person that this kind of sales tactic will attract, and this is the type of sales tactic that is client that these sales tactics have attracted so far for us. Now, obviously, we don't have any negative feelings towards our clients at all in the past either. But from a scaling perspective, how do I'm always thinking, how do I make it better? How do I make it better? And in the past, out of all the sales I've had in my life, um, I had one person had buyer remorse and they refunded, which is fine. But I had one person buy, again, based off of hype and everything, and he used a stolen credit card. And I've had a lot of people buy and not do the work. And traditionally, people, when you're in sales or you're in like the online space, traditionally 90% of your buyers never even log in, which is sad. So I don't want to just take people's money just to take their money. I want to work with people where I can actually make impact, right? So, and this is why it's important for you to understand how I handle objections. So, my objection handling, I'm not trying to pressure anyone, right? All I'm trying to do is just give them space and be an adult and think about it. So, if they say I need to think about it, I say, sure, here's the replay. And actually, it's also important for me that you think about it, because if you don't see yourself committing your time and energy to doing what we're about to do, then it's not going to be fun for either of us. I have to make sure that it's also in alignment with you. So if it is in alignment with you at that stage, I am happy to help. But yeah, take the time they need. I will touch base with you in 2 days just to see if anything else came up. Does that sound good? Very simple objection handled. If they say I want to try it myself, I say, sure, no problem. You'll need X, Y, and Z tools, and I'll actually give them a list of my affiliate links. And here's my YouTube channel, so you can actually watch tutorials and stuff like that if you do get stuck. But if you realize at any moment that it's too much work and you want to delegate, then reach back out and we'll help. And then I will always also tell them, just to set expectations, it took me about X amount of time, X amount of coaching, X amount of money, whatever, to fine tune this process to get these results. So I'm just sharing that just so that you're aware of what you're getting yourself into. Um, and I'm just very clear and transparent. If they say I can't afford it, I say, okay, it's cool, totally understand. Times are tough out there. Would it help if I break it up into 3 installments instead? And then at that stage, they can say yes or no. But if money is still a concern, this is the most important one, and this is what people aren't willing to do. And I'm willing to do it because I know that in the long term, it's going to generate more revenue because I'm building loyalty. And not just that, I have done this, and the people that have been in this position of not being able to do it, they go and they take the action, and then they either send me more people or they end up coming back to work with me, right? So if money is still a concern and it's just a logistics of I really want to do this but I can't, then I'll just say, does this process make sense to you? They're like, yeah. Money aside, do you see yourself doing this? If they say yeah, then I go, okay, let's simplify it. Go do 1, 2, and 3. Follow these exact instructions. I'm going to send you a Loom video after this call, and I'm going to show you exactly what you need to focus on. Implement this right away. After you get some traction, come back to me. When you're ready to make the investment, come back to me, and then I can help you grow this even more. Does that sound fair? And boom, by doing that step, I just did what no one else is willing to do. I just gave you a free step-by-step of how to get started so that when you are in a better position, you can actually come back and invest. Because I know that the average business lifespan is 8.5 years. So if we end this call and I just start annoying you by saying following up with not delivering any real value, that's never going to convert. But if I help you get a win, you're either going to refer me to someone, I'm going to get another case study, I'm going to establish more goodwill and more good karma into the world, into the universe. And ultimately, though, I'm going to make another impact. Or I'm going to make impact. And at the end of the day, like I said, I'm not trying to get every client under the sun. I'm just trying to help the ones that are actually willing to be helped, and in order to help them to make an impact in their lives and in their businesses. So try this for yourself. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments, what should I post about next? What other content topics or anything you have ideas about? This is the end of this 3-part series. And like I said, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.